Hello. So, I thought for a little bit of fun, as you can see on screen and in the title of this video, we could do a bit of a power ranking for the UBL. However, I did want to make sure this was split up into each division or each league. So, first of all, we're going to be covering the minor league coaches, and then we're going to be going into a part 2, which will be uploaded tomorrow, and looking at the major league coaches. So do look forward to that. I want to also preface this that this isn't taking shots at anyone, doesn't differentiate any coaches, or trying to demanner anyone in any way. This is supposed to be a little bit of fun and also some constructive criticism where I can possibly give it. With all that being said, I do hope you enjoy. And yeah, so we're going to read off each coach's team and then kind of talk about it a little bit. So as you can kind of see down here, I was supposed to get rid of this beforehand because we're not going to need five rows for 8 coaches because it's only 8 coaches per league. So let's start things off with Team Bad, literally called Team Bad, not even an acronym. Coached by Karato. I think this is low-key one of the most misleading things of the entire league, because Karato's team is kind of fire. Karato is also a coach in the RDL as well, so we just haven't played them yet. So Team Bad. This is, you know, whether they're supposed to be evil or whether this is supposed to be a bad team, it's certainly not the latter, because their team consists of Groudon, non-primal but still Groudon, Mega Blaziken, Amoonguss, Porygon Z, Aegislash, Alola Ninetales, Claydol, Armaldo, Malamar, Naganadel, Tapu Koko, and Banette. So, this team's very good. The way I want to kind of look at this as well is like look at a team, and if it has modes, how well I think those modes can work, and how scary the team looks to prep for. Because if a team looks good overall, but doesn't look scary to prep against, then like, is it that good of a team? But also you have to. It's like, also can you make sure you can prep for everything? So even if you have like one really good mode, but the rest of the team looks kind of weak, then how easy is it to prep for that team as a whole? So that's kind of what I'm basing it on. So let's look at the top pieces. Groudon on its own is pretty solid, as a restricted Pokemon, but then you have Mega Blaziken alongside it. For those who don't know, I used normal Blaziken last season, and pretty much every time I brought it, it was pretty solid. Especially towards the later parts of the season, where like it was its own speed control. So you gotta protect with Blaziken, and suddenly, like with Adamant, you could outspeed like most things. After a +1, like you just barely weren't outspeeding base 130s, and that was it. Mega Blaziken has 20 base more speed, a bit better bulk, and doesn't use your Life Orb, and instead just gives you the base better attack and special attack off the bat. Combine that with Groudon Sun, and you've got an incredibly powerful sweeper. Not only that, you've also got dual weather with the Alola Ninetales. There is no partner for the Alola Ninetales, unfortunately, but I think if there was, this team would become even stronger. This team doesn't play for Trick Room. Its Trick Room setter is Claydol, and I think Malamar? But I'd have to double check that. And Porygon Z can set it as well. A team doesn't especially want to play in Trick Room, but kind of like how Fat Rat had it last season, they have a Amoonguss, which is basically a Trick Room deterrent. It's saying, hey, sure, I'm not really fussed about playing. I don't want to play in Trick Room, but if you're going to try and play in Trick Room, I have a Amoonguss, and that's something you have to fear. And the other piece as well, Porygon Z, Aegislash, some very threatening Pokemon. Tapu Koko and Amoonguss have kind of a bit of anti-synergy, unfortunately. Naganadel is a pretty cool Pokemon as well. Not a Pokemon that normally sees VGC play, despite what you would think, but it's certainly got its place here. Armaldo feels a little out of place, because normally you use Armaldo for Rain, but potentially you could use it as a Trick Room Sweeper. If this team did have a better Trick Room Sweeper, like, it could actually play for Trick Room instead of just saying, giving the old Amoonguss stop sign of saying no to Trick Room. It doesn't have the best speed control, but I think the power here is very strong. It's got, with Mega Blaziken and Tapu Koko, it's got good natural speed. I guess, like, you've got Icy Wind Ninetales and Electro Web Tapu Koko, so you can use both of those as forms of speed control as well. Like, any Pokemon that gets Icy Wind could help with speed control. So, I think for me, this, despite being called Team Bad, I'm going to put this team in the A tier. I think this team is very, very good. So, like, it doesn't really play for each speed, which makes it quite versatile, so it can just play for whatever it wants. It would prefer fast, but it also has, like I say, the old Amoonguss stop sign of saying no to Trick Room. So, next up, we have the Blaziken Blazers, coached by Alex12. Alex, you are the reason why I'm having to remake the tier list video. On the day that I was going to post it, because I went back and watched my previous version of this video and went, I don't know if I agree with that. So, their team, the Blaziken Blazers, their team consists of Lunala, Mega Mewtwo Y, Incineroar, Togekiss, Superior, Regular Kyurem, Rhyperior, Electivire, Conkeldurr, Palkia, Escavalier, and Pachirisu. I originally put this team in B, and when I went back to go listen to it just as, like, some background noise while I was working on other videos, I have no idea why. This team's nuts! I don't think it clicked to me that this has 2 of the 3 parts of my core from last season, the core that everyone complained about, of Lunala, Kyogre, and Incineroar, except instead of Kyogre, it's got a Mega Mewtwo Y. So, yeah, Mega Mewtwo Y, like, is an incredible powerhouse, and with Side Strike as well, it hits on the physical and special spectrum. It has, like, base 194 special attack, it's insane! We know how much I love Lunala, it's speed control on a dime, you go either way. The supporting pieces are great here as well. There's not that many, but the 3 that they have, and you can argue Lunala as well as support as well. But I'd say, like, more so I'm thinking Incineroar, Togekiss, and Pachirisu. Pachirisu famously won Worlds in 2014. So that's nothing to sleep on. And you've got Redirection with Togekiss and Fake Out Pressure with Incineroar. So you're getting... If you want to set something up, you absolutely can. Not only that, this team has... I'd have to double check, but this probably has one if not the best Trick Room mode in the entire league. Because you have the options of Escavalier, Conkeldurr, and Rhyperior to play for in Trick Room. I think Superior and Kyurem are interesting, but they do also kind of fall into, I think, one of the few weaknesses with this team, which is their fast mode plays for special with, like, Lunala and Mega Mewtwo Y. Obviously, they have Psy Shock and Psy Strike, respectively, which are very, very good. But Kyurem and Superior also want to play for special offense as well, whereas the Trick Room mode plays for physical offense with Escavalier, Conkeldurr, and Rhyperior. I guess Electivire can play for either. Base 83 speed, I believe, is pretty solid for, especially for Tailwind. Like, that's an ideal Tailwind, like, user. But also can slow down and play in Trick Room if it needs to. So, the team's very versatile because Lunala just flicks its switch and decides what speed control you need for the matchup. Depending on how you want to build the team and how you want to play it. So I think this team is, Very good. And originally I put this in B, and I went back and listened to it, and I went, am I okay? It's got 2/3 of Lunala, Kyogre, and Incineroar. And just instead of a Kyogre, it's got Mega Mewtwo Y. So this is an easy A. Easy A. I don't know what I was thinking when I put it in B in my previous attempt in this. So thank you, Blaziken Blazers. You made me had to go re-record this entire video. So next up, we have the Detroit I cannot speak. The Detroit Darkness, coached by Fungus Amoongus, a new coach. We should have like multiple new coaches actually, because Karuto wasn't here last season, but we know him from the RDL. Alex was here at the start of UBL season 1, but had to go because they didn't have the time, I believe, or something like that. I'm not sure. Not sure the exact reasoning. Well, Fungus Amoongus is a brand new coach that we've never had the pleasure of seeing. So their team, if I can pull up the tab again, is... Where is it? There it is. So they have the Cosmo Dustmane, Mega Tyranitar, Zygarde 100%, Smeargle, Togedemaru, Silvally, Rabombi, Gourgeist, Lycanroc Day, Azumarill, Tangrowth, and Mienshao. So this seems kind of interesting. You have a bit of a Sand mode with Mega Tyranitar and Lycanroc Day. Lycanroc Day with Sand Rush and base 1 top speed. Unless you have your own speed control, nothing outspeeds that. Like, no way. You can't... There's, like... You could try and maybe scarf something, but you'd be scarfing, like, Jolteon. And even then, I'm not sure that would do it. So, you have really cool support pieces as well. Rabombi's a really cool support piece, in my opinion. I don't think you have the best partners for Rabombi, unfortunately. I don't think they're here. Although, actually, Rabombi with Azumarill could actually be really strong. Because, like, giving... Basically, like, Rabombi, like, has Speed Swap, and you give Speed Swap to like, and you pass that base 116 speed to a slow Pokemon, and suddenly you're, like, destroying the world. And, like, things, like, Azumarill's a really good target for that. That, like, Smeargle and Togedemaru are also really nice support pieces, as well as, Tangrowth. So, like, there's good support pieces here, but I don't think that there's that much speed control, and I think the speeds feel a little awkward, I feel like. Like, so in a Cosmo Dustmane, one of the big things you use it for is setting Trick Room. And I feel like this team doesn't have the best of Trick Room modes. You can play Azumarill for Trick Room. Like, I feel like Azumarill is something I'm maybe focusing on a little bit too hard. But, like, it feels like if you could make Azumarill fast, you could make it destroy the world. But there's also kind of the Sand mode. I think as well, like... A lot of this is going to really depend on how good Zygarde 100% is, because, like, a lot of the times we don't know, like, how good a Pokemon is, especially when it's not being seen, but, like, if you can get Zygarde, to, like, actually get to 100%, then yeah. Again, it will start as 50%, but it gets Power Construct, so you get to 100% and you get it healed up, and you can really tear apart a team. So it's really going to depend on how well that Pokemon can be used. You also have Gourgeist that can set up Trick Room. Like, there's good supporting pieces, and Mienshao can Fake Out as well. You have double Fake Out with Mienshao, Togedemaru. There's some good pieces here for sure. I just don't know if it comes together quite well as a team, and it's not the most threatening looking to me personally. I think the top, like, works well with Sand, though. And, like, you have things like Togedemaru and Lycanroc that can really work well with Sand, so... I think this is good synergy, but it doesn't look the most threatening. So, I think for now I'm going to put it in B, but we'll see. So, next up, we have the, I believe this is the Homebrew Gang, coached by Politoed. Politoed, I believe, had to leave last season due to personal reasons. But, yeah. They are back, and yeah, it's nice to see them again, because last time we kind of knew them as the Water Shuriken, the Palossand guy in Sweep. So, but this time, let's have a look at their team. So, they have Kyogre, Mega Sceptile, Salamence, Celesteela, Holucha, Clefable, Galvantula, Murkrow, Kartana, Tornadus T, Beheeyem, and Pikachu. It has just occurred to me that there are like 5 flying types. Is it 5? Yeah, it's 5, right? It's, yeah, Salamence, Celesteela, Holucha, Murkrow, and Taunty. Yeah, that's 5 flyings. So that's 4 Ice Weeks off the bat. And then Sceptile, so that's dicey. But other than that, let's talk about the strong points. Hello, Kyogre. How are you? You destroy worlds as long as you get speed control. And you have both Tailwind Kartana and Tailwind Taunty to potentially get that speed control for you. And Salamence. So that's 3 very, very strong Tailwind users. You have Follow Me support with Clefable. Celesteela is a pretty solid Pokemon, so is Holucha, but I feel like it's not the best support for Holucha. Usually you want an easy way to just get Unburden active, and one of the easy ways to do that is just get Terrain and stick a seed on it, and you're good to go. This team definitely wants to play fast rather than slow. Also, I think Mega Sceptile is a really interesting pick. Like, it's super, super fast, and with Lightning Rod, it pairs really well with Kyogre. It's actually kind of interesting now that I think about it, because you've got Kyogre and Sceptile, which basically just don't want to see grass types, and then, like, you have 5 flying types. Granted, Murkrow is not really a flying type, it's more so just there as a supportive piece, but I think Murkrow is a really cool supporting piece, because it gets Prankster, so, I guess the real weakness of this team is it does want to play fast, and I think a really good team will want to play, has the ability to play fast and slow if it needs to. That or a way to at least deter Trick Room, because otherwise, yeah, you will just get run over by Trick Room, and this team could very easily get run over by Trick Room. Like, you have some slower pieces, like Celesteela and Beheeyem, which I'd have to double check, but I know it gets Trick Room, but whether it gets imprisoned to stop the Trick Room, that's another question. The tier 5s actually are really good, because it's Murkrow and Pikachu, like, they're really good tier 5s. So I definitely don't think this team is awful. But I feel like it can fall to Trick Room. So I'm also going to put this in the B tier. Next up, we have the Hackensack Hakamoos, coached by Hopeless. That's a lot of H's. Another new coach, like completely brand new. So their team consists of Solgaleo, Mega Salamence, Talonflame, Sylveon, Greninja, Mudsdale, Toxicroak, Luxray, Clefairy, Arcanine, Dolomise, and Weavile. So let's talk about the speeds things first. You've got Talonflame and Mega Salamence to consider Tailwind. Mainly Talonflame. Let's be real here. Talonflame is a Tailwind machine, but also just fires off Brave Birds and Flare Blitzers because it can. But Salamence is definitely not a bad Pokemon either to set up the Tailwind. You've also got Solgaleo, which can set up Trick Room. Not a Pokemon people often think about, because it's just, like, close to base 100 speed, but when Lunala can do it so well, I don't question that Solgaleo can't do it just as well either. As well, you have Follow Me support with the Clefairy to help it, which has just occurred to me that Lyric actually had that combo last season, I believe, of Clefairy Solgaleo, which makes like, even if you're not Follow Meing with Clefairy, Solgaleo is really bulky with Friend Guard, so you have some slow pieces which can work in Trick Room. Dolomise is a pretty good one for that, as well as Mudsdale. They're both pretty good Trick Room pieces. It's just you don't have a goal of playing for Trick Room. Like, this team doesn't play for Trick Room as much as I'd say it really wants its fast move, as well as Sylveon. Sylveon can play in both. But Greninja's a really good Pokemon. Toxicroak's kind of interesting. I'm not sure what Toxicroak would want to do. Usually, it's more of a rain Pokemon to utilize Dry Skin. Luxray's good Intimidate support as well as Arcanine. So you have double Intimidate. You got fast support with Weavile as well. The team's really solid overall. I definitely would be afraid of going against this. So I think I am going to put this in B as well. And I think at this point, unfortunately for the Detroit Darkness, I'm going to drop it into C. I think these teams are a little bit stronger than the Detroit Darkness, so I do apologize for that. Next up, the Indian Charizards making their return. Coached by Ad2-1. So their team, I know this team's strong because spoilers, I believe last time I put this as the best team, but we'll see if I do that again, because their team consists of Dialga, Mega Gengar, Landorus Varian, Entei, Raichu, Decidueye, Hitmonchan, Golduck, Pelipper, Mimikyu, Kingdra, Espeon. Yeah, no, this is going to be the best team again, isn't it? I'm just going to put it here now. This team's insane. It's... I would say Blaziken Blazers is also very close, but I think this one secures the best. Purely because this team reminds me way too much of Fat Rat's last season. And Fat Rat's team's last season was insane. So those who don't know, Fat Rat was our runner-up last season and had Dialga, Mega Gengar as a main core. Actually, I'm gonna put it down. I'm gonna think about this one a little bit more, because there was one thing that did bother me. Whereas Fat Rat had two pieces on their team that aren't here, which really make up for which really made their team a lot better, which was Talonflame and Amoonguss. This team doesn't have a way to play outside of Trick Room, really. You have Imprisoned Trick Room Gengar, but that's about it. But, like, the pieces is, like, Dialga Mega Gengar, I cannot stress enough how good of a special offensive core that is. I cannot stress how good that was for Fat Rat last season. Like, those two would come onto the field and nothing could switch in. Nothing felt safe switching in. As well as Lando T, like, you also have Raichu for great support. You have a Rain mode with Pelipper Kingdra. Again, Fat Rat had Polito Kingdra last season. As well as Golduck, which I believe Golduck actually saw play in 2017 as a Rain Sweeper. So, as a tier 5 Rain Sweeper, that's not bad at all. As well, you've got Hitmonchan, which is a nice bulky Pokemon. You've got Mimikyu to set up Trick Room as well. If this team had a better Trick Room mode, I would definitively put it as the best. But for now, I'm going to think on it a little bit more. Because I want to save S for, I think, the best team. Because I do think this team's very strong. It also has Tailwind on... I'm not sure if Lando T gets Tailwind, but I know Decidueye does, and Pelipper does. So you had Tailwind support. I know obviously they have Espeon as well, which is the best Pokemon of all time, don't at me. I'm the coach of the Everton Espeons for a reason, okay? Leave me alone. I have to get my rep in somewhere. But yeah, this team looks very, very good. I think the one downside is it doesn't play for slow that much. And if it had more of a deterrent for slow and a easier way to set up Tailwind, I would say easy S. But now I'm gonna question it a little bit more between one and the other two. I don't think it's as dominant as I think I was giving it credit for. So next up, we have the Toronto Weavers, coached by Pratt. Another new coach. So, their team consists of Kieran White, Mega Kangaskhan, Tapu Fini, Gyarados, Virizion, Crocodile, Raichu Alola, Cypher, Heatran, Giratina, Crobat, and Alolan Muck. This is a team that I think has pieces, but doesn't really have a direction, unfortunately. I think people will immediately say, oh, there's Kieran White, but there's no Hail mode. And I wouldn't say that's not really the issue. I'm also looking at things like Virizion with no beat-up partner that I know of. Unless Crocodile gets it. But Crocodile's slower than Virizion. You also got a Raichu Alola without electric or psychic terrain support. So those are more so what I'm thinking. You have a Trick Room mode with Alolan Muck as well, which I think is pretty solid. Heatran also can play in and out of Trick Room very easily. You have a very good... I think Tapu Fini gets Tailwind? I think. If not, he at least gets Icy Wind. But more so Crobat gets Tailwind, and that's, in my opinion, a very good Tailwind setup, because it's a really nice supporting piece. With, like, think of it like Tornadus Incarnate without Prankster. Like, that's what I like to think of it as. And instead of, like, using Knockoff and Air Slash, and it uses Super Fang. Like, that's what I think of it as. But it also can just, like, go, you know what, I'm just going to max attack it and just start Brave Burning things. Kind of like how Talonflame does. So it's like a mix of Talonflame and Tornadus Incarnate just doesn't have the priority Tailwind. I think there's good pieces here, but again, I think this is one of those teams that doesn't quite have enough synergy or enough threats for me to really consider it an incredible team. It has some supporting pieces, like Giratina. Heatran's kind of just a bulky offense Pokemon. Crobat. Tapu Fini is kind of supportive as well, but not like it doesn't really support the team as in, like, it helps other Pokemon get going. It just kind of, like, is a bulky Pokemon that also mitigates RNG with Misty Terrain. So, like, no random burns and things can happen, so. I think with some right changes, though, this team can be very scary. I think getting up beat-up support for Virizion is, like, one of the key things here. I'm getting some, like, I wouldn't say real speed control, but, like, yeah. Like, it definitely feels like there's something off with this team. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of immediate threats that need to be taken care of, other than, like, Kieran White and Mega Kangaskhan gone. So, I'm unfortunately going to put this into C tier, but again, C isn't exactly bad. I think it's just room to grow. So, don't take this as a bad thing. The last but not least, we have the Wilmington Seedras, coached by King JDS. Our final coach and another new coach. A lot of the minor league coaches are new coaches to the league, so it's kind of cool to see. Their team consists of Yveltal, Mega Garchomp, Tyranitar, Whimsicott, Excadrill, Araquanid, Drifblim, Monferno, Xurkitree, Togetic, Gardevoir, and Salazzle. This team also has a bit of a sand mode with, like, Tyranitar. It's got, like, actually a pretty good sand mode with Tyranitar Excadrill. Very good. As well as, like, you can use Sandforce Mega Garchomp. I believe it's Sandforce. So you get, like, even more power out of Mega Garchomp to be a massive wall breaker. That's what it's usually used for. I just lose out on that speed, though. But you'll have Whimsicott, which is one of the best Tailwind setters. As well as Yveltal and Drifblim, which can set up Tailwind. Drifblim not as good here, because, like, again, it's an Unburden one, so really you need a way to proc the Unburden easily, and if you do, then you can really make use of it. Togetic and even Salazzle can be good supporting pieces. I think Monferno has potential to be a good supporting piece as well. I quite like Monferno as a pick here. Xurkitree, a Pokemon that can work great in and out of Trick Room. This team doesn't have a Trick Room setter other than Gardevoir, I believe. So it would need support to get the Trick Room up, but I think Araquanid is a great Trick Room sweeper, don't get me wrong, but it's not a team that I think Araquanid is another, like, it's kind of a deterrent, but not as strong as a deterrent as a Moongus. It's like, hey, if you want to play Trick Room, that's cool, but I'm going to make sure I have an Araquanid that can play in Trick Room if, like, I can't stop you setting up Trick Room. So, this team has great supporting pieces as well as a good offensive piece, and I think, like, the sand mode here works really nicely because T-Tar Excadrill is nothing to scoff at, as well as, like, Mega Garchomp. So if you can prep for that, I feel like the team kind of loses a lot of its offense, unfortunately, unless you get Xurkitree in your battle with speed control. But yeah, I think this is gonna be if my mouse wants to work, this is gonna be a B tier team. I think that the pieces here, like, the mode here is strong enough for me to consider it putting it in B. I think a better Trick Room mode may have put it in A. As for the team I would consider the strongest and to put in put in S. In the original recording, I gave it to the Indian Charizards, and that was because I kind of just said this is basically Fat Rat's draft. But I feel like the lack of speed control is going to keep it in A, and instead I'm going to put the Blaziken Blazers in S. Because, to be honest, they remind me of my own draft. Like, and I won last season. they've got Lunala Coyote. So they've got Lunala Incineroar, and Mega Mewtwo Y, great speed control, great Trick Room mode. Like their weak piece, the weak point of the team is that their fast mode is special and their slow mode is physical. But Lunala and Mega Mewtwo Y can hit on the physical side anyway. So that will do it for this video, as my music has run out because half an hour is not long enough. That will do it for this video, so thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one, so take it easy, everyone.